Before we get started, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me, see me, and also see our screen. And if you can't, just type in the chat box and we'll take a look at that. Awesome, it looks like there's no objections. So hi again, my name is Angela. I'm a support engineer here at Mixpanel.
My name is Andrea.
And today we are kicking off our new webinar series called Deeper in the Mix, where you can hear firsthand from support engineers how to get the most value out of your Mixpanel. So to kick off the series today, we'll be taking a deeper look into some of our core reports.
So I just want to set some expectations about how this webinar is going to be set. It's going to be a 45-minute demo, and we'll have a 15-minute Q&A session in the middle and at the end. So it is an interactive format, so please type into the chat box. We'll be answering questions along the way and also during our question and answer break. This will be recorded and will be sent out 1 hour after this the webinar so that you can use this as a resource in the future. We'll be going over some of the reports. Angela will be going over live view, and we have Sean, who will be going over funnels.
Hi, everyone.
We have Ian going over retention.
Hey, guys.
And I'll be going over insights. And at the end of the webinar, we'll be also sending out a survey to ask for your feedback. If you have any other lingering questions that weren't answered during this webinar, please submit them there as well, and we'll get to those next week on our dedicated Q&A session.
Awesome, so I'm gonna jump into live view now. So what I'm gonna do is first send you all a link to our Music Finder project. And if you've joined us for our webinars in the past, you might recognize this app that we've built. Every Mixpaneler gets to play with this just to learn the tool. So what we're gonna do is send this out, and I want you all to sign up for an account and make sure that you put information that you don't want broadcasted, because the data will show up on my screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign up for an account myself. So I'm gonna put elmo@mp.com, an easy to remember password. Oops, that's not my email. Oopsies, I wasn't reading this. Okay, elmo@mp.com, my password that you saw earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my favorite genre and sign up with a free plan. So once you guys sign up with your account, I want you to play around as much as possible. You'll notice it's kind of like a makeshift Spotify where you can play a song, buy a song. You can also upgrade your account or downgrade. So I'm just gonna keep clicking these a bunch of times. I do not want that right now. And then maybe I will upgrade my account. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So while you guys are all playing around, I'm gonna open our live view. And if you take a look, I know you've all seen this report before, but we wanna go here and we see, ooh, awesome. So I see here that we have people from Vancouver, Maple, Canada. I didn't know that was an actual town. Even Paris, this is awesome. So you can see here that we have a lot of our most recent events coming in. And the great thing about live view is that it's customizable. So you see here at the top, we have all the properties associated with our events. So we have the event name here, page loaded, browser city, and say, I wanted to also know the artist, because that's been really important to me. So I'll go ahead and add that property. And I also want to know the initial refer maybe. So once you do that, you can click and see these on the screen at all times, which is one of my favorite parts about live view. And so one of the things that we want to reiterate is that live view isn't necessarily a report, but it's a great tool to help you for debugging. So a lot of questions that we've had are, why aren't my events firing for this specific person? Well, one of the ways that you can look into this problem would be to filter. So here, if I'm seeing that maybe one of my users' events aren't firing and I know that they are coming from a browser like Internet Explorer, I can go ahead and add that as a property and filter. And so what you'll see here is that, oh, it looks like none of you guys are using Internet Explorer, but what you'll see here is that once you filter, it'll go through your last 10,000 events and show the most recent 50 that match your criteria. So for instance, we've had issues where specific people have ad blockers on their browser, which prevents them from firing the event. So you know if one user is receiving the event through Internet Explorer, that could be the issue with the other user. So that is one great thing about Live View. And lastly, I wanted to go over, for some of you who don't have people profiles set up, a great tool feature that Live View has is this little silhouette here. So if I wanted to follow a user's flow, but I don't have a profile set up for them, I can go ahead and click this silhouette. And here on the right-hand side, this little tab will open, and I can see that this person signed up, and their user flow is page loaded, sign up, song played, song purchased, and so on. So yeah, I hope that you learned something new in Live View today. If you do have questions, send them into the chat or hold them to the middle. And next we have Sean with funnels.
Hey there, everyone. Sean back here, and I'm going to jump into funnels, one of our most used reports. So I'm going to switch projects really quick to a project that has a bit more data in it, and I'll jump right into funnels. Second here, and I'm just going to pull up a funnel I made a couple minutes ago. So the importance of funnels is that they show and track key user paths through your product. So you can use these to view the conversion rate of a sign up, for example, which is what I've opened up here. Our funnels operate on unique tallies, meaning that each user will only be counted once. And this is because we did not want a user that's converting multiple times to be causing the data to be manipulated, as in, for example, an e-commerce site, you could have a checkout event. And if one user has checked out 100 times, it'll increase your conversion rate if we weren't using uniques. So jumping right in, you can see that I'm looking at the date range July 3rd to August 1st. This date range specifies when a user can enter a funnel. So for this specific funnel, it means when they can do the sign up page view. We have the first step right here, and above the bar, you'll see 324. That's the amount of people who have viewed our sign up page. And then we have the second event, sign up, and we have 267. That's how many people have moved on. So looking at this symbol, this is the conversion rate from one step to another. And up here, you have the total conversion rate. Right now, I just wanted to start with a real simple funnel that only has 2 steps. So that's why these conversion rates match. If you had more steps, this would be the total conversion rate. Next thing I'm going to jump into is the funnel builder itself. So how you can build your own funnels if you wanted to create them for your specific use cases. So what you'll want to do is click on the little plus sign to create a new funnel. And the first thing you want to do is name your funnel. So let's say sign up and upgrade. And here you can select the events that you want to specify. So for the first event, I'm going to do sign up page view. Second event, I'll do sign up. Then I'm going to click the plus sign to add more events. And from there, we'll do, let's say, song played. And let's do upgrade, plan upgrade. Perfect. So I have a 4-step funnel here. And I'm just going to click save. And we'll jump into this and see what it looks like. So you have your funnel, and you can see that the conversion rate is 9.88%, and that's for the whole funnel, and you'll have the conversion rates of each intermediate step right here. So going back into the builder by clicking the edit button, you'll see there's a few things we can do. We can drag and drop steps by clicking on the 3 lines in the top left-hand corner. So for example, let's say I want to see people who sign up and then upgrade right away and then play a song. So that's why I'll move that up, and this is our new funnel, and I can just click save. And if you look, it changes right away. Another thing we can do is we can remove steps. So let's say I don't care about upgrades. I just want to know people who play songs. So I can click the X here to remove this step. and I can click save, and there we go. It updates again right away. Another really important aspect of how we calculate funnels is the time to complete. So the time to complete is found in the bottom left-hand corner, and this is the amount of time a user has to complete the funnel from when they've entered it. So right now I've set this to 30 days. So what that means is our users can do sign up page view between July 3rd and August 1st, but from there they have 30 days from whenever they did that event to carry on and do the remaining steps in the funnel. So the reason we made this decision is because we wanted to give everyone a fair chance to convert. Meaning, if I was to do sign up page viewed on August 1st, I would have no time to do the remaining steps. So it would be unfair compared to a user who did it on July 3rd, for example, who would have much more time. So we decided this is the best way to ensure that everyone has the exact same amount of time to go through this funnel. The next thing I wanted to jump into was the funnel builder again and talk about labels. You can actually rename any step to something a bit more intuitive, because if you're actually looking at the builder, these are just the names of the events. But say I just wanted to change this instead of sign up page view to just page view. So I'll just type in page view here, and I'll click save. And then I can go here and it'll say page view. And if I hover over it, it'll tell me what event actually makes up that step. Another cool thing we can do here is we can add filters. So let's go filter country equals, let's just say United States for now. And let's save this. So if I hover over this, I'll have sign up page view and the step is filtered for United States. And if you hover over the page view again, it'll not only tell you that page view consists of sign up page view, but when country contains United States. So it lets you know about all the filters that are in play for that step. Right now, I want to take a second to talk about a few beta features we have coming out. Recently, we've added the ability to add multiple filters per step and the ability to include an exclusion step. So what that would look like would be, for example, users who did page view, did sign up, then did not play a song and upgraded. So this is something that we never have had before. It's a brand new feature. I'm just announcing it right now for the first time to the public. And if this is a feature you're interested in, we're actually accepting applications to the beta. Another beta feature that we have is multiple filters per step, because right now, as you can see, I'm only allowed to add one filter, but soon we're going to allow you to add more than one filter to these steps. So that's another beta feature we have. And like I said, we're accepting applicants to that beta as well. So if these are two features that you're interested in, there's going to be an email sent out after this webinar with a survey. And one of the questions in that survey is if you want to be added to this beta. So as you go through, if you're interested in these two features, just let us know in that survey and we'll add you right away. Now I'm going to jump back into the funnel that we've built. And there's a couple things that I wanted to go over. And one of them is conversion over time. So if we're looking at the eye icons in between each step, if you hover over if you click on the percentage, you'll actually be able to see the conversion from step 1 to step 2. You'll be able to see the conversion from step 1 to step 2 over time. So right now it's filtered by day, but you can also filter it by week or month. So you can just change these and you'll be able to see like how your users are trending over time. So this is just between step 1 and step 2. Something you might be interested in though is the total conversion over time. So if you scroll to the bottom, you'll be able to see page view to song play, which is the first step to the last step. So we have that available for you down here as well. And you can also filter between day, week, and month here, just like you could above. Another thing that's an interesting feature is our overview table. So I've already filtered this for United States. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, why don't we use the overview table to group this data by city, for example? So I'll click on this drop down and I'll choose city. So here we can see the conversions broken down for this funnel by city. So I'm just going to sort by song played, and I can see the most conversions are happening in San Francisco, the second most in Los Angeles. So this is great for being able to see, for example, if there's a specific city that's doing really well. You could also use song, for example, if you want to see if one song is being purchased more often. There's tons of data here. It just depends on what you're collecting and what you're interested in looking at. Another cool feature that's a bit of a secret in funnels is that if you click on one of these steps, you can actually get some really cool information, like the average time from the previous step. So for example, if I click on song played, I can see that people in San Francisco, on average, it takes them 1.01 days from sign up to play a song. So this is great if you're trying to figure out what is causing a slowdown in your users converting. So maybe looking here, I can see that San Francisco is a bit slow to play their first song, but Philadelphia, they're playing it 8 hours after they sign up, and Salt Lake City's playing it 10 minutes after they sign up. So this is where there's tons of information that you can use and can be really helpful. So that's all I've done for funnels today. If anyone has any questions on live view or funnels, then Angela and I will be happy to go over them right now. We're gonna take a quick pause for questions for the next 10 minutes.
We have Peter. Actually, let's ask this. We have Torsten who asks, can I combine 2 funnels? We have 3 login options.
So to combine 2 funnels, you can make 2 separate funnels, but as far as combining 2 funnels, you can't do that. But with that said, you could always duplicate a funnel and try to add steps to make it work together. So it all depends on your use case, but there's no way to straight up combine 2 funnels at this time. I'd love to learn more about your use case though. So either via email or chat, if you wanted to tell us what you're trying to do, I might be able to give you a better solution there.
Can you sort the overview table by conversion rate?
Yeah, great question. You can. Here, let me break this down again by city, and you can actually sort by the conversion rate of each step. It's not the conversion rate per se, but the amount of conversions. So it's getting really close to what you need. So for example, if right now I'm sorting by song played, so I'm seeing 48 San Francisco show up at the top, and that's because the most conversions are happening at San Francisco. It's not the highest rate, but it is just the most conversions for one property.
Eric asks, do the events in the funnel have to be triggered in chronological order?
That's a great question. So the events in our funnels, we use loose ordering. So what this means is that you do not have to do the steps consecutively, but they must be done in the order that you specified. So for example, you can do step 1, step 3, and step 2, and what will happen is you'll show up as someone who's gone through step 1 and step 2 in this funnel. Does that help answer your question, Eric?
Roy is asking if you can go over time to complete.
Time to complete, yeah, sure. So let me jump back into the builder really quick. So time to complete is down here. So you can choose seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, or months. It's the time that a user is allowed to go through the remaining steps. So looking at this funnel, you must do page view between July 3rd and August 1st. Once you've done that, you've entered the funnel. At whatever time you did that event, an imaginary clock starts, and that clock is set to whatever time to convert you've specified for your funnel, and that's how long a user has to do the next remaining steps. So be it step 2 or 3 in this case, or if you have a 10-step funnel, then it would be steps 2 through 10.
Lynn asks, are each steps in the funnel calculated by average, total, or unique?
So each step is unique. So we wanted to give you true metrics on a user basis. So because of that, a user can only count once for each step. This is because a user converting multiple times can skew some numbers, so we want to filter that out.
They're answering each other's questions.
Yeah, they're answering each other's questions.
Can you go over time to complete for Roy, or did you already do that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you ask for Prashana? So Prashana asked, how accurate is the city date captured by default in Mixpanel?
So that's a great question. City and region and country are all captured using IP geolocation. So it all depends on what IP a user is using. So if they're using a VPN, for example, or if they're using their mobile phone where they might be connecting to like multiple cell towers, that data can get skewed a bit. But this is the default property that Mixpanel is collecting. If you have more accurate geolocation data on your users, you can always push that into Mixpanel as well.
Ray asked a great question. What's the easiest way to view funnels by audience segments? For instance, free users versus paid users.
Okay, that's a great question. So one thing that you could do is you could group this right here by plan type. So let's see if we are tracking that. Perfect. So I'm going to group this by plan type. I'm going to give it a second to work. So I can see my free users are going through this funnel at a 76% conversion rate, and my premium users are going through it at a 96% conversion rate. So this is one way you can group this funnel. Another way you could do this is by actually going into the funnel itself and just adding a filter for plan type equals free, for example, or plan type equals premium. So that would be the best way I can suggest you going through that process. Are there any other questions out there?
There's one on UTM parameters. If a user comes to a sign-up page more than once from different channels, to which session will the UTM source be attributed?
Okay, that's a great question. UTM parameters, by default, Mixpanel uses first touch. So this means that the first UTM parameter they triggered is the one that's going to be used. With that said, we do have some documentation on how to change this to use last touch instead, so it updates as the user's UTM parameters change. If that's something you're interested in, then you can let us know and be able to share that documentation with you. And as for specifically with regards to UTM and a funnel will always look at the first time a user's completed an event within the date range. So for example, right now I'm looking for the first time page views occurred within this date frame. So if I do page view with UTM parameter Google, and then I do page view right afterwards with UTM parameter Facebook, for example, then this funnel is only showing the one that was Google, the first one that occurred. Are there any more questions, or should we power through to the next report?
The other ones we can.
I think it's time to power through.
Okay. So I'm going to let Ian slide in, and he's going to talk about retention.
Hey everyone, my name is Ian. I'm going to go through a retention report. So let me pull that up right now. So retention, while it's loading, lets you see how often users come back and perform events in your app. And you'll see up here in the menu, there are 3 types: recurring, first time, addiction. Addiction is you learn how frequently people come back and use your app, how many hours in a day, days in a week, or days in a month. So it's a high volume. People are really addicted to your app. First time is not to confuse as a first time ever an event is performed, but rather it lets you pick one born event. So one event that lets them enter the retention report, and then see another event that they're performing to see and calculate their retention on that. Today, though, we'll go through the more commonly used one, recurring retention, and you can select anything, so any event that's triggered, or let's do played song. So what this says here is that I selected the song play event, and on July 19th, 48 unique users performed song play. And then in less than a day, 2.08%, or you can change this to number, one of those 48 users came back and performed song play. What I want to point out is that this doesn't necessarily mean before the end of July 20th. This actually is going to be related to the unique timestamp from when they entered this bucket right here. So say this person who performed song play on July 19th played the song at 11 a.m. on July 19th. That means they have until 11 a.m. on the 20th to play a song and be in this bucket. Then they have until 11 a.m. on the 21st to perform that event and be in this bucket, and so forth. So basically, this is a 0 to 24 hour range, 24 to 48, 48 to 72, and so forth, and they're all going to be respective to their timestamp that they entered this little group right here. And another thing I want to point out is that users can only be in this one row or people bucket once, and then they can be in multiple columns. So if they're playing a song multiple times, coming back in multiple days, they can be in multiple columns. another thing I want to point out is that they can also be in multiple rows. So if this person right here will probably, if he performed it on the 20th as well, so 11 a.m. on July 19th, and he performed it at 10 a.m. July 20th, he'd be here, and he'd show up on the July 20th people bucket. As you can see up in the right, you can change this from day to week. So instead of the 0 to 24 hours, you have the 0 to 7 days, 7 to 14 day, and then a month. So this would be 0 to 30 days, 30 to 60, and so forth. We'll stick to day, and you might notice that there are all these different shades of blue. So what does this all mean? The darker color essentially means higher retention rates or numbers, and the lighter shade of blue is the lower. And you'll notice the last two on here are incomplete. That means that those can still change because users can still qualify until the date when you hover, until the date that's shown when you're hovering over it. And while you see all these rows presented in a table type chart, you can also view this in a line. So here are all the different rows, and then here's a 0 to 1 day, one day, 2 day column, 3 day column, and you'll see all the high retention numbers for the 3, 6, and 9 day that you saw in the table chart. That's all I have right now. I'm going to add this to the dashboard. Oops. And save it and add. Awesome. Again, write in your questions to the chat. I'll be happy to respond throughout and at the end. And now Andrea will talk insights.
All right, hi everybody. I'm Andrea, and we're gonna go over insights. As Angela said earlier, live view isn't actually really a report. So the best report for you to dig down into your data is with the insights report. By default, our insights show your top events in the last 96 hours, and top is defined by the top highest occurring events up to 12 in the last 96 hours. So insights shows your data in aggregate. So how we do that is by total. Total is defined by how many times this event was performed. Unique, if we change this into a unique count, it shows you how many users did that event in that time period. And you could go also average, which is the total count divided by unique count, and you can see how many times on average it was fired in the last 96 hours. So I'm just for some ease here, I'm gonna go ahead and choose song play, and I'm gonna pick in the last 30 days. So this is the average count of how many times a user's fired song played in the last 30 days, but I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to total to see how many times it was fired. So we can see here, it's 1.7 thousand, and if you hover over the bar, it will actually give you the actual number of how much it was played. There are different ways that you can see this data. By default, we go by bar, but you could also change it to a line. And currently it's by day. And then if you hover over the line, you can see how many times it was fired. And this is how you could see your events are tracked over time. One thing about insights is that you could also zoom into the line to stretch that out to see the data a little bit more granular. If you wanted to see, for example, out of all these songs played, which artists were being played, you can select that plus button and use the breakdown function, and we're going to choose an event property and see artist. And when you do that, let's go switch back to a bar graph just to make this easier. You could see that in the last 30 days, these are the possible event properties that are for song play. And we can see that in the last 30 days, I guess Ghostface Killah is getting played right after Kanye West featuring Kid Cudi. So this is how you can see all the possible artists for song play in that time period. Let's say I also want to see where these songs are getting played. So let's choose breakdown again. But now I'm going to see user properties. User properties are specific to each user, and I want to see which cities these songs are getting played. So it looks like San Francisco is playing Ghostface Killah the most, and we can see that Kanye West is getting played the most in San Francisco as well. Kanye West again in San Francisco. I guess we really like Kanye in San Francisco. And this is how you can break them down by city. However, let me just reset this. I want to see what Mexico is playing specifically. This way we can actually choose filter by a property, and this is where we can filter for city. And you can choose multiple cities, but here we're just going to see what Mexico City is playing specifically. And you can add that filter, and we can see that Pavel Chesnikov is actually playing in Mexico City. Old Crow Mezzanine Show and Sebastian Bach, which is awesome. On the right-hand side here, we have a legend where all the properties are available. This legend bar is only for visualization, so we can turn off which properties we don't want to see. However, if you only wanted to see one specific artist, how many song plays an artist got, we can do event, an artist. I want to see how many Kanye West played specifically. And we can see he was played 95 times, total times, in the last 30 days. You could also, let me go back to breaking down by artist. So default is a bar line. For bars, we also do a stacked bar. So you could see them in aggregate this way, and you can hover over each color to see which properties are being showed here. Let me reset this. We have different ways to show time. So this is actually for current day, which is 0 as of August 1st, 0 hours as of the current day. We have the previous day, which is the full 24-hour bucket from the previous day. Last 96 hours, 30 days, 24 weeks, which is around 6 weeks, 12 months, and we also allow you to select a date range. And this is actually fairly new to Insights. In the select date range, you have the ability to choose in the last, let's say 96 hours. You can do hours, days, weeks, months. So this is actually really customizable. You can also do between, which is between 2 sets of dates. So if you only wanted to see the last 7 days, you would do of a week. Let's do July 8th and July 14th and press select, and your data will populate that way. You could also do since, which means that since July, starting July 8th, since that day, how many of those events were fired. Or you could also do on, which is just specific for that day. So if I only want to see all the data on July 10th, I'll pick July 10th and press select date. Another feature that's actually really new to Insights is this feature called compare to past. So let's say I'm looking at my data in the last 30 days. I want to see how this data compares to the previous 30 days. So we'll compare to past, and we'll do, you can choose previous day, previous week, previous month, previous quarter, previous year, and also a custom date range. So I want to see how this data stacks up to the previous month. As we can see here, the dark blue bar is what is currently we've tracked. And so the previous month from June 2nd to July 2nd is this hash bar right underneath. So you can choose to compare how these events are stacked against another. Another thing that you could do with Insights is compare 2 events against each other. So let's go back to song play. And I also want to see how that compares with song purchase. So this, you could see that out of the 1,700 songs plays in the last 30 days, only 508 of them were purchased. You could also show the unique song play, so how many people played a song versus how many people purchased the song. And again, we count uniques by distinct ID, and this is per user as they log into the web page. So another thing that we could do here, we can save the report, or we can add it to dashboard. Let's title this report "Song Play versus Purchase," and save. And we're going to save this report to dashboard. So it automatically saves to a dashboard. And once you click this button to save, you can edit which dashboard that it's going to be on. So it automatically goes to my dashboard or project dashboard. For this webinar, we created our own dashboard, which is a webinar dashboard right here. And then you can select which dashboards are added. We do get a lot of questions of how to create a new dashboard. And the way that you do that is just by typing in a name, say new dashboard, and you can create a new dashboard, and this report will automatically be saved there. So just going over briefly about dashboards. Dashboards, you can access them by clicking this icon above right here. And here is what our dashboard currently looks like. Currently, we only are on project dashboard. So you can change the dashboard by clicking the title, and we can go to the webinar dashboard. And this is all the reports that we've saved today. And this is how you see them. Currently in this format, dashboards are assigned, not by alphabetical order, wow. Interesting. This is how they're assigned. We have a new feature coming out very, very soon, and it's called Dashboards Beta. I know somebody asked this before we tried, before this webinar, where this button is going to be available, and go ahead and click that. And in this new dashboard, we have a brand new feature that allows you to just drag and drop your cards in your report in order as you see fit best for your reports. So that is coming out very, very soon. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. I believe that's all I have for insights. So I'm going to call Ian back, and we're going to answer all your questions about retention and insights. All right.
Charles, I see you asked if we can help with the setup. We actually have an implementation webinar coming out in 2 weeks. Yeah, it'd be great if you have dev resources, but we can walk you through how that will all work out.
So somebody asked, great question, insights versus segmentation. Segmentation is actually one of our oldest reports, and it's a tried and true report. But we do want to say that anything that you could do in segmentation can be done in insights. We like to refer to insights as segmentation 2.0. It's just a little bit more robust into how you build your reports. And it's just a little bit more robust, I guess you could say. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, and I think segmentation, when you select a property, you're limited to just the top 12. Here, if you break down by a property, as Andrea showed, it's so much more you can view and scroll through. So it's just a lot, like I said, like she said, more robust, and it gets to show you more data in one view. What other questions are we seeing?
Let's see. Can you reorder how the reports appear on the dashboard?
Perfect.
That's a great question. So it's actually coming out very soon, Mara. You are going to be able to reorder your cards on your dashboard just by dragging and dropping them. At the current time, as far as we know, it's only by alphanumeric. So if you don't have this feature as of yet, you would have to rename your cards or the reports that you've saved by number or by letter so that they can be ordered alphabetically.
Sam asks, if I set insights to show unique all events, is that taking all unique events per user and summing them? multiple unique events per user, or is it showing a max of 1 unique event per user?
Great question. Let's build this. Show unique,
All events.
all events. So we have 294 unique.
So this is going to be the latter, so it's showing a max of 1 unique event per user. So essentially 294 different distinct IDs performed 294 events, all different events. So it's going to be all unique. And it's going to answer the second half of your question is what this report's showing.
That's great feedback, Mara. Mara asked it would be awesome if we could bulk update the date range on all reports on the dashboard at once. We'll submit that to our product team. That's actually really great feedback. Thank you.
And then Prashana brought up, will opting for beta program have any downsides like possible data loss, performance issues? There should not be any data loss occurring from signing up for a beta program. There may be some performance issues in the actual feature that we release, and we'd love to hear feedback and anything on that. But there should not be any data loss at all from signing up. So hopefully you get to enjoy the new features that we're releasing.
Did you guys answer Sunny?
I'm answering them right now.
Okay. Sunny, we are answering your question in chat. You would be great for you to attend our implementation webinar that's coming out in 2 weeks, and we'll show you exactly how to plan your events and how to track them.
Jade's question.
Jade asked, is the difference between unique and total is that the same users with the same cookies might return to the flow? So great question, Jade. So how we calculate uniques is by distinct ID, and distinct ID is a random number that we assign per cookie that is cookie, session, and browser based. So for example, if Tito signed up, or Ian signed up on a browser and he gets his own cookie, but then if he goes again to the same website with a different browser, he will be assigned a different cookie. So technically there will be 2 uniques, even though it's the same person. Does that answer your question, Jade? You guys answer the product manager.
Jade says to repeat again.
Sure. So let me repeat this again. So we calculate uniques by distinct ID, and distinct ID is given, it's based on the cookie, browser, and session. So every new session is actually a new cookie. So for example, if Ian was to sign up on our Music Finder page on Chrome, he's given a specific distinct ID. If he closes that, opens Safari, and signs up again on Music Finder on Safari, he's actually given another distinct ID. So we calculate uniques that way. So you will have 2 different distinct IDs for the same thing because he signed up on 2 different browsers. So this, this is actually how we calculate uniques. Hopefully that makes sense. Is it possible to combine 2 distinct IDs if we are sure that they are the same user?
So we didn't go over identity management here, but say I have multiple devices, right, or multiple computers or multiple browsers. We do have what is the alias call that will allow you to assign a unique ID and allow it to tie back to the distinct ID that was originally assigned and combine those to one user. I won't dive into it now because that would take a little bit more time, but feel free to write in support or send that feedback in so that we can maybe create that identity management type webinar in the future.
That applies to, so Roy asked, how do distinct IDs turn into users? That's actually the same way. We have a whole identity management plan to show you how to take a distinct ID and map it to a known value and make that value into a user profile, which will actually have to be a different webinar because it is a little bit longer. So please send in that feedback. We'll go over implementation and identity management in a separate session.
Charles asked, how about mobile users versus desktop? If you only use a JavaScript library, one way to show this is by,
That's only mobile.
is this only mobile?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are
web,
on
sorry.
JavaScript, you can use device. And if you're on a mobile device, it'll show all the mobile devices. And if you're on a desktop, it'll show null. And then if you have multiple libraries, you can break out by Android, by Mixpanel library, which will show Android versus iPhone versus Swift versus web.
Will's asked, can you override the distinct ID that Mixpanel will assign? Yes, you can actually. We can provide you with the with some more documentation that we have. We do have documentation to say if you want to assign your own distinct ID to users, this is something an extra step that you would have to push into your data. Carrie asked, where can I find more information on user profiles and distinct IDs?
Sending it right
I'm
now.
about to, oh, you got it? Perfect.
We'll be sending you that documentation, the link to our documentation on how to do that.
For Mixpanel implementation.
That's a good question.
Sean, feel free to write in to support when we'll go over that with you. We'd be happy to dive in. It's a little more specific to your use case, and we'll jump into that.
Prashana, can insights report be used to identify key events that influence users' behavior, like making a purchase? Yes, actually. You would have to, of course, those key events that you want to identify that influence user behavior, that's something that you're going to have to track, push into your projects. So for example, if there's a set of key events that you specifically want to see, so we have song play, and then you can compare it to another event as such as song purchase. If these two events are key events that identify users' behavior, you can see them this way. Actually, thank you for that question. I forgot to add. If these two events are key events that you want to see, there is a way for you to combine them into a custom event. So for example, there is a button down here that says create custom event. So if I wanted to combine the song play and the song purchase event together, this will create a custom event. And let's name this as play and purchase and save this custom event. Then now we can see that this event is a combination, it's actually an OR function of both. So we are showing this event where users did song play or song purchase in that time period. Does that answer your question, Prashana? Perfect. Do we have any more questions? Charles. Can you measure multiple companies' performances against each other, or would this need to be done manually? So yes, you can. We have a way for you to track, instead of tracking individual users, you can track users grouped by a company, which would you have to apply a user property and or an event property. Right into support, we can give you more information on that. Do you have any more questions? Awesome. I think, are we all set? Okay, all right. So we do have an implementation webinar coming up on August 22nd. We will go ahead and send you guys those that invite soon. As a reminder, this is being recorded currently, and you will receive this as a recording for future resources. Within that email, there is a link for you guys to give us your email if you wanted to be added to the beta features that in funnels that Sean has displayed today. Also, we'll be asking for your feedback. Any lingering questions that you may have that wasn't answered in this session, please submit them there. We have a dedicated Q&A session next week just to answer those questions for you. And so the invites are to come, and more questions. We'll have a dedicated Q&A next week. So thank you guys for coming. Please give us your feedback on how this works. Send your questions in to support@mixpanel.com, and we'll be sure to answer them as soon as we can. Thanks, everybody.